Hey there, comic book fans. Back from the comic shop for another week. Got 5 comics at my comic shop this week. Plus I have a couple of library books and a book purchase to show you. Start out with some freebie. Here's a little cardboard poster for the Empire Strikes Back 40th anniversary. I'll throw it in with the rest of the free junk I get from the comic shop, which every now and then I pull out and look through and go, oh, that's neat, but otherwise I just throw it in the pile. True Believers. We got 2 of them this week. We've got True Believers Bullseye with the first appearance of Bullseye. I think I have the original of this. Daredevil 131. I haven't looked at it in a long time. It's a copy from my childhood, so it's hardly mint condition or anything like that. So looking forward to this nice new printing of Daredevil 130. Who did this one? Marv Wolfman, Bob Brown, and Klaus Janson. And then we've got some Steve Ditko Spider-Man. The very first Green Goblin, Steve Ditko, Stan Lee. Let's see, this is Spider-Man 14 originally. No, I don't have a Spider-Man 14, but I first read this in the little pocket-size editions in the 70s. I don't think I've read it in a while. I'm trying to think. I used to have the omnibus of all the Ditko Spider-Man stuff, but it was sitting around for years, and I finally sold it off. I never actually read the Ditko omnibus of Spider-Man stuff, so I might take it out of the library now because they have it. But I look forward to reading that one. Then we've got The Goon #7. Which I think came out 3 weeks ago. For some reason, Diamond always shorts, the Albatross Press stuff. The Goon always comes late to my shop, and Hillbilly always came late to my shop. For some reason, maybe 1 out of 3 got into my shop the week it came out. Usually it's a week or 2 weeks later. I think this was actually 3 weeks later. But I enjoy the Goon. Eric Powell, we'll see what he's up to, snatching the Lindbergh baby. Manifest Destiny, issue number 40. Oh, it looks like some killer rabbits from Monty Python they're up against. This is the Lewis and Clark expedition. They're exploring the new United States of America and after the Louisiana Purchase and discovering monsters. The same people have done this. Chris Dingus, Matthew Roberts, and Owen Gieni. They've been on this for 40 issues. It's been a fun series. Like I said, the color looks a little different in this one. The color's not quite so watercolory. Well, it's still watercolory. It just looks a little. Looks like there's a lot of purples and yellows in it. It's usually very naturalistic color in this because they're out in nature. So there's lots of greens and browns. Looks like this is doing firelight. So there's lots of purples and oranges. That unusual for this one. It just jumped out at me as I looked through it. Then the last comic of the week is Grendel, Devil's Odyssey, 3 of 6. This is Grendel Prime, so he's some future robot, and he's going from planet to planet, looking for a place to restart civilization. There's some huge backstory that I don't know. I didn't read a lot of Grendel Prime stuff, because I think a lot of the Grendel Prime stuff in the 90s was not by Matt Wagner. Or maybe he just wrote some of it. So I'm not overly familiar with the Grendel Prime. But Grendel Prime stuff takes place in the future when somehow Grendel became a religion and he was like the devil. I don't even know. But he's like part man, part machine, and he's got his little robot sidekick there guiding him to try and find this planet that they can repopulate with the people who used to worship, something like that. But and then I also got, out of the library, I returned Luba. I finished reading that one. That one's real good. Luba was so good that I'm actually going to buy it one day. That's one I'd like to have on my shelf just to look through. It was on my wish list for a while. I never bought it. So I took it out of the library and read it. Really good. It's going to go back on my wish list to get someday, but I got this. Calvin and Hobbes, the complete. Well, I think there's 2 volumes. This is only volume 1. I'll have to take volume 2 out when I'm done. But I have like 10 Calvin and Hobbes books, so I think I have all the Calvin and Hobbes. But this came out, I don't know, 10 years ago now, probably more than that. Let me check the year on it. And I always wanted to get it. I never did because it's expensive. It was expensive. First printing October 2005. This is 16th printing October 2018. So there's been a lot of printings of this. And it's Calvin and Hobbes. It's great. If you've never read Calvin and Hobbes, you're missing out. It's one of the all-time great comic strips. And they've got all of them in this. And I look forward to, even though I could pull out my other one, which I have the soft covers and all different volumes and titles. This has got them all in order, so I figured I'd look at this one. And I also got from the library an art book. Mark Rothko, a retrospective. It's funny, this isn't even the one. Mark Rothko is what they call a stained color field abstractionist. He made these giant paintings of color. Well, they're like 10 feet tall. So looking at them in this book, But there was actually a book by Mark Rothko called Art Philosophies, I think it was. And I always wanted to check that one out. It's like a book from the 1960s. I never quite found it, and I never, was motivated enough to buy some used version off of Amazon or something. So I was looking at my library to see if they had it, and they didn't. So I'm like, well, let's look at a retrospective. Even though I got to say, looking through this, I know art books are expensive to produce, but black and white reproduction, and there's like some in the back too. Black and white reproductions of stained color fields. That's a little iffy. But I look forward to looking through it. Because, I know Mark Rothko's paintings a little. I learned about it in art history way back when in college. But I don't know that much about him. So I'll check that out. And then I actually bought a book. I bought... Oh, my God, all these books are heavy. Neat Stuff. The Peter Bagge complete collection. Really nice looking stuff. And Neat Stuff was a magazine. That's where Peter Bagge started out. I think it's got a date of 1985 on it. And I bought the first issue of Neat Stuff. And then I thought it was okay, but I guess I didn't like it that much. Because the next issue I have of it is 13. This is number 1. This is number 3. This is like 1985. This is 1989. So they didn't come out that often. But someone must have told me it was really good. Now, check out Neat Stuff again. So I did, and this is the stuff that has a lot of Buddy Bradley in it. This is all collected in the original Bradley's trade paperback that I showed you a couple weeks ago. But I was like, oh, it was really good. So I started picking it up, and then it ended with issue 15. So I picked up 13, 14, and 15 off the stands in 1989 or so. And then after this, Hate came, and I bought Hate all the way through. But I was just sitting around recently going, pardon me. Let me get a sip of my water. Neat Stuff, the collected edition, came out in 2016, and it's been on my Amazon wish list since 2016. But it was I think it was a $60 set, and I was just like, I don't really want a $60 set of Neat Stuff. So I was actually looking into buying the original issues off of eBay, because they're not expensive if you can find them. But they don't have, there's not a lot of Neat Stuff, and it's like, maybe a few dollars an issue and a few dollars shipping. So that all adds. I was like, And then I looked right around Christmas time, And this set was down to $30. That's what it is right now on Amazon. So I said, you know what? For $30, I'll get the box set because it's really cool. Neat stuff. And I have some of this stuff in trade already, like the Bradleys came out of that trade. Studs Kirby, that trade I have. Junior and Other Losers, that's also this era. But I'm looking forward to seeing, what else I don't know. Girly Girl, that was one of his characters from Neat Stuff. Girly Girl, the Bradleys, Studs Kirby, Junior. I'll see them all out. That's the Bradleys on the back. But some pretty cool stuff. Lots of books from the library. And, the mailman's coming down to my front door. We'll answer that after this video. But meanwhile, I'll show you a little art I've been doing. For this one on the back, I'm in the middle of doing. You can tell by all the light lines in it. No blacks filled in yet. Here are a couple of 6x9 drawings I've been working on. Just like I showed you some of these a couple weeks ago, I've been doing a couple more of them. And I've also been doing a lot of taking my street photography and making black and white prints. For some reason, I've got a lot of black printer ink. So I'm like, let's make some prints, but not color ones. So I started making my street photography into black and white. Having fun. Got horizontal ones on one side and vertical ones on the other. Just pictures of people in the streets of New York. Over the years, I think this one's from 2005, that one's from this year. Crowds of people in Bryant Park. Random person in the street. So that's another thing I do, street photography. But yeah, usually I don't print out all my street photography. It's all digital. But for some reason I got in my head I got to make prints. So I've been doing that lately. So there you go. Some comic books, some bookie books, some drawing, some photography. You guys all have a good week out there.